Assalamu alaikum, dear students. The topic of our today's session is facts and figures about English language. I hope and expect by the end of this session, you would have the knowledge of certain facts and figures about the English language and how they are significant to understand the history of the development of English language. Well, my dear students, over 400 million people use the English vocabulary as a mother tongue, only surpassed in numbers but not in distribution by speakers of various varieties of Chinese language. Over 700 million people speak English as a foreign language. It is very interesting to know that amongst all the languages in the world, English is the richest language in terms of vocabulary. In fact, the Oxford English Dictionary has listed 500,000 words, and there are 500,000 technical and scientific terms that are yet not catalogued. My dear students, 3/4 of the world's mails or telexes and cables are in English language. More than half of the world's technical and scientific periodicals, journals, research materials also are in English language. It is interesting to notice English is the medium for 80% of the information stored in the world's computers. Because computers are made, because the technology that runs the computers is made and is managed and is handled by the USA. It comes from the USA or from other parts of the Western world. That is why, English is the language of, all this technology. This also helps us understand another point, that no language gathers significance or importance in isolation. Its, importance, its significance, its power is related to the political power from where it comes, to the social power where it belongs to. By the way, English is also the language of navigation and aviation all around the globe. If you look at media, 5 of the largest broadcasting companies around the world, which are CBS, NBC, ABC, BBC, and CBC, all of them, transmit in English. And, through them, this reaches to millions and millions of people. Another important aspect of these facts and figures is the reverse loan words that I would like to refer to. You can understand the power of English language and, the spread of English language from this fact that the loan words, initially, when English was in its process of evolving through the Old English language period and the Middle English language period, it was taking words from, different other languages. But now there is a reverse loan process, which means words from English are being taken into, other languages. By the way, this process is called Anglicism. I just have a few quick examples of some words. Stop, sport, tennis, golf, weekend, jeans, bar, airport, hotel, etc. There are lists and lists of such words that are used in other languages, that are borrowed from English, and they are taken into other languages, and they have become a permanent part of the vocabulary of those languages. Even if you are speaking, for instance, if you are speaking pure Urdu, even then a jeans would remain a jeans. Another amusing exercise is to piece together the English derivations of foreign words where phonetic spellings are used. I would just like to share a few examples to give you an idea of. On the screen, notice the word haircut. This is a Ukrainian, word for haircut. So, with a slight change, with a slight shift in, the pronunciation, or, in the spellings, the words are taken into other languages. Here is another example that is from Lithuanian language where, notice this. Moving pictures is used for, movie or a moving picture. If we come to Japanese language, we would find almost 20,000 words that are borrowed from English language, and all these examples of anglicisms are very frequently used in everyday life. In fact, Japlish, that is a combination of Japanese and English, is, emerging. Here on the slide, you can see some examples from Japanese language. So, for example, up-to-date, this is up to date. Arabata is elevator. Necktie is necktie. Biro is beer. Isakrimo is ice cream. Escalator is escalator. And Raymond is lemon. So, this is how words are taken from English, and they are, in a way localized. After many centuries of one-way traffic of these words, from French language, where, through the Old English times and through the Middle English times, there would be a lot of borrowings from French into English. Now there is a time when French is borrowing from the English language. In the 20th century, this is what started. And actually, somewhere between 1% to 5% of the French words now are anglicized words, which means they are taken from English language. Quick examples of that. Well, I would share first the examples that already existed. Rosbif, that is roast beef, for example, it has been in use for the last 350 years. In the same way, Oest, that is west in English, by the way, has been in use through the last 700 years. But then there are a lot of terms that have come into use now. Notice here, for example, La weekend, La blue jeans, La self-service, La cash flow, La sandwich, La babysitter, La meeting, etc. There are many, many words that are borrowed from English language and they have gone into French language, and by adding this La prefix to them, they are nativized. The significance of English language can be understood from other facts and figures related to how many people study English language. Every year, almost 500,000 years of different ages come to the UK only to learn English. This generates a 1.2 billion amount, through the export earnings through the process. This is also a language of internet, the top language of internet, and I would say that, what makes it the top language of internet is certain factors. I would like you to notice those factors. The first one is the big number of the users. Because it is used by a lot of people, of course, then it is the most popular language of the internet. Secondly, the extent to which it is used for official purposes. Yes, it is used all across the world in most of the countries for official purposes. The economic power of the language? Well, in today's world, the economic power belongs to the West and to the United States of America. And this economic power relates to English language. And fourthly, the volume of information that it disseminates, which means how much information it gives. So, today English is reigning supreme. What conclusions can we draw from all this on the basis of all those facts and figures that I have presented? Well, I think these facts and figures give us a clarity on how significant it is to study the development of the English language through the times, because this is the language of today's world and probably the language of the world of future.